Assalamualaikum and very good day to our lecturer, Dr. Nohafiza and all the classmates. So today we are presenting our video report based on the topic the effect of consuming healthy food. So they are developed for peer review. Article was being published in 2020. The purpose of this session is to explore the theory, research, and application used in the selected article. So the concept of healthy eating is strongly connected to our theory, such as the theory of planned behavior, which is for the article 1. So basically, this theory suggests that people make food choice based on attitude, social norm, perceived behavior control. So this explains why intention alone are not enough. Real behavior depends on the environment and support system. For the second article, the topic was epidemiological and metabolic health framework. For this article was applied biomedical indicator such as BMI, waist circumference, insulin resistance, inflammation marker. For inflammation marker is to show how unhealthy diet increase chronic disease risk. For the third article, the topic was environmental and socio-demographic model. So this focus on how surrounding such as school location, snacking habits, and ethnicity shape adolescent diets. For the last article was social constructivist behavior perspective. This qualitative study show how young people interpret healthy eating based on parents, friends, taste, and convenience. Together, these four articles provide a complete picture of how Malaysians, especially young adults and adolescents, choose their food, what influence their eating habits, and how those choices affect long-term health. 3 objectives to observe in this report. Based on the project guideline, we were instructed to identify and include the objective of the selected article. Across the 4 articles, the objective can be summarized as: the first objective is to examine psychological, social, environmental factors that influence healthy eating behavior among Malaysian young adults. For the second objective is to determine the impact of dietary pattern on cardiometabolic health indicators such as obesity, inflammation, and insulin resistance. For the last objective is to identify dietary patterns among Malaysian adolescents and the factors associated with this pattern. Collectively, these objectives help us understanding not just
Now, I will be presenting Article 1 titled Healthy Eating Determinants by Armamen. This study investigates the key factors that influence healthy eating behavior using the theory of planned behavior as its main framework. Firstly, the article has several strengths. It is strongly grounded in a clear theory, specifically the theory of planned behavior, which gives the research solid conceptual direction. The study also uses a large sample size, allowing the findings to be more reliable and generalizable. Additionally, the statistical analysis is robust, and the study looks at multiple dimensions, including psychological, social, and environmental factors. This gives a holistic understanding of what drives healthy eating. However, the study also has some weaknesses. Much of the data is self-reported, which may lead to bias due to inaccurate or socially desirable answers. The sample is restricted to young adults, meaning the findings may not represent other age groups such as children or older adults. Another limitation is that the study does not explore emotional eating, which is a major factor influencing food choices. Gaps and potential biases. There are also notable gaps. The study assumes that having knowledge leads directly to behavioral change, which may not always be true in real-life situations. The research excludes rural populations, making it less representative of diverse lifestyles. Additionally, the socio-economic dimensions are limited, which is important since affordability and access strongly affect eating patterns. And for suggestions for improvement, to enhance the study, future research could include qualitative interviews to supplement the quantitative data. Expanding the sample to include rural communities would allow a more inclusive perspective. Finally, incorporating emotional, cultural, and family influences would provide deeper insight into how people make food choices. In conclusion, Al-Mamun offered a strong theory-based analysis of healthy eating behavior, but the study would benefit from broader demographic coverage and deeper exploration of emotional and cultural influences. Next, I will now present Article 2 titled Eating Patterns and Cardiometabolic Risks by Balasubramaniam et al. 2020. This study investigates how different dietary patterns contribute to cardiometabolic health outcomes, focusing on biological markers such as inflammation, insulin resistance, and BMI. The article has several notable strengths. First, it uses strong biological indicators, including BMI, inflammation markers, and measures of insulin resistance, which provide objective evidence rather than relying on self-reporting. The study also shows a clear association between dietary patterns and health outcomes, reinforcing the importance of diet quality. Lastly, the research is supported by large-scale epidemiological data, making the findings more reliable and widely applicable. However, the research is not without limitations. Although the study measures physical outcomes effectively, it focuses solely on sociological indicators and does not explore psychological factors behind eating behaviors, such as stress, emotions, or motivations. This limits the understanding of why certain eating patterns occur. There are also some potential gaps. The study assumes that eating habits remain constant over time, but in reality, dietary behavior can change due to life events, income shifts, health awareness, or social influences. Additionally, the article does not consider cultural eating behaviors, which play a significant role in shaping food choices and diet-related health risks. The suggestion for future research: to improve the study, future research should include longitudinal designs to track changes in diet and health outcomes over time. Adding behavioral and environmental data, such as stress level, food affordability, and accessibility, would give a more comprehensive picture. Finally, examining government food policies could help understand structural influences on eating patterns at a population level. Conclusion. In conclusion, Balasubramanian et al. Provide strong biological evidence linking diet to cardiometabolic health, but the research could be enhanced by incorporating behavioral, cultural, and policy perspective to better explain why unhealthy eating patterns persist.
I will now present an Article 3 titled Dietary Pattern Among Adolescents by Chong et al. 2020. This study examines eating behavior among adolescents using a national level dataset and identify distinct dietary patterns within this population. For the strengths, there are several key strengths of this article. First, the study used a national level dataset making the findings more highly reliable and representative of the broader adolescent population. It also includes various demographic variables such as age, gender, and socio-economic background, allowing a meaningful comparison between groups. Additionally, the research successfully identified 3 clear dietary patterns, providing structured insight into a behavior among adolescents. For the weakness, however, the study also has a limitation. The data collection relies on self-report, food intake, which may lead to recall bias or inaccurate reporting. Another major limitation is the lack of exploration into psychological or family-related factors, which are crucial in shaping adolescent eating habits. So, bias and gaps, there are also gaps and potential bias to consider. The study is correlational, meaning it only shows associations and cannot establish causations. Moreover, it does not explain why adolescents choose certain food, leaving out important motivational and environmental influence. Suggestion for future research: to improve the research, future study could include interviews with adolescents and parents to capture deeper behavioral insight. It will also be beneficial to analyze the influence of food marketing and media exposure, as this strongly target younger audience. Finally, incorporating cultural perspective and traditional eating habits will provide a more holistic understanding of dietary pattern. So the conclusion is Chong et al. Offer a comprehensive national overview of adolescent dietary pattern, but further research is needed to explore psychological, cultural, and environmental factors that shape food choice. Next, I will present about Article 4 titled Perception of Healthy Eating by Isha et al. 2020. This study explores how individuals perceive healthy eating and what factors motivate or prevent them from practicing it. Unlike the previous article, this research used a qualitative approach, offering deeper insight into personal experience, belief, and daily challenge. Strengths. The study has several important strengths. First, it provides in-depth qualitative insight that go beyond numbers and statistics, allowing participants to explain their real thought and motivations. The researcher also conduct a rich thematic analysis, identifying recurring themes such as convenience, cost, time constraints, and cultural food preference. These findings help explain why people make a certain food choice in real life, which many quantitative studies fail to capture. Weakness. However, the study also has a limitation. The sample size is relatively small, which may reduce how well the findings represent the whole population. Additionally, participants were recruited solely from urban areas, meaning the result may not reflect perception of individuals in rural communities where food access and culture differ significantly. Bias and gap. There are also several gaps to consider. The study relies on self-report perception and behavior, which may not accurately reflect what individuals actually eat in daily life. Furthermore, because the study is purely qualitative, it lacks quantitative data to support or validate the findings statistically. Suggestion for future research. To strengthen future study, researchers could expand the sample to include rural communities to gain a more balanced perspective across different environments. Combining interview with food diaries or direct observation will help compare to perceived versus actual behavior. Finally, examining the role of school canteen, policy, and institutional environment will help explain how structural factors influence healthy eating, especially among young people. Overall, Ishak et al. Provide a valuable understanding of the life experience that shape healthy eating perception in Malaysia, bridging gap left by purely quantitative studies.
In conclusions, all 4 articles show that the healthy eating behavior in Malaysia is shaped by a combination of: first is psychological factor, second, social influence, third, environment, fourth, culture, 5, accessibility, 4, affordability. Even though young adults and adolescents understand what healthy eating is, many factors such as convenience, price, taste, peer pressure, and busy schedule prevent them from practicing it. Unhealthy diet increase the risk of chronic disease such as obesity, diabetes, and metabolic syndrome, while nutrition diet improve long-term metabolic health. To promote healthier eating in Malaysia, we need: the first is better health education, second, supportive food environment, third, affordable healthy foods, fourth is a culturally relevant interventions, and the last one is a strong family and school involvement. This assignment highlight the need for a multi-layered approach in improving Malaysia dietary habits. Thank you.